What is good, guys? Back with another castle. This time I have a guy I've not spoken to in a while. It's pretty sad, but man like Kensou, what's good?
And I'm finally hearing one of your things here. So yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here now.
Yeah.
Hey, you boys, we here. Okay. Okay.
Let's get it, bruv.
No.
Let's go, fam. Let's go.
I'm with you.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I mean, this is like a long time coming. My typing game's not very strong, so when I'm in your chat and like the debates are happening, I'm really bad at getting my point across. You've let me jump on a fair few times, so I definitely have to thank you for that. You let me jump on the mic and get my point across and whatnot. And it's not really a case of believe my agenda. It's more a point of getting other perspectives to the masses.
Always.
That is
very important.
That's what it's about, and that's why I used to jump in your stream. You would see an opinion, and you wouldn't just shut it down by saying you're wrong. Silence yourself, get timed out for talking shit. You're like, nah. I'll tell you why I disagree, and then you bring your evidence, and then we'll see which one holds more weight.
Which is fair.
Mm-hmm. Totally. That's what I've got time. That's all I've got time for you, man.
I appreciate it. Happy to be here. Trust.
But today I wanted to talk to you about, I'm going to give you this title. I know you would probably say it. You'd probably say you're a veteran. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the eye roll,
Yeah.
Good players tell people they're good. Great players get told they're great. One of those ones.
That's fair.
One of those ones. So, I'll class you up there as a veteran, especially when it comes to specific games, specific characters. And I know you've been branching out. But I think your process has kind of evolved, where I think when I first started jumping in your stream, like the beginning of Strive, you had like legacy knowledge to bring to the table. And now that I've seen you expand into other games, even a different peripheral, right, on the hitbox, you've got a very unique way of teaching people on your journey. Not that you got here and now you're passing down knowledge. So that's all I wanted to talk to you, man.
Right on.
So let's start with the number one thing that's important, the origin stories. How did you get to the status of veteran, and then we'll talk about how you progressed into trying to help the community.
Well, it all started when I was a twinkle in my mother's eye. Just the love for fighting games, the love for just seeing how I always had like a thing for how something works. Like I had to know how it worked. Like I wouldn't be satisfied without kind of knowing how things work. So throughout, where even start? Like I would say like probably CVS2, Capcom vs SNK 2, and Marvel 2 were like the first two games where I really like kind of pushed myself, especially Capcom vs SNK 2. Mm-hmm. And I would always experiment with characters and see what was good, what wasn't. I tell people things like, nah, this is pretty good. Like I may not be the best player, but trust me, like this is really good. It's not really good. And some Japanese player does it. I'm just like, okay. Right. And this is before I came to, you know what I mean? And it started with that game, and then it pushed into Guilty Gear. Obviously most people know me as a chip player. I stuck with him through thick and thin. Strive's a little bit of a different story, but I just always just been on a quest for knowledge and just understanding how games work, understanding how things. It's just I was never satisfied with just one answer. I'm like, there has to be more. Like it can't just be this is 2 + 2 is 4 and that's it, right? And in fighting games, like there's so many different variables. So like, I don't know. I just pushed myself from CVS2 into Guilty Gear, and I worked really hard with Chip and just worked really hard at understanding how Guilty Gear worked. And the more I got an understanding of how Guilty Gear worked, I just kept pushing myself and ended up being like best chip in NA for like a long time. And just, I don't know, I couldn't help it. Chip is just, he's
Don't worry.
That's my boy.
I think especially with like character loyalty, I saw it in you, and I had the same vibe. Like I don't play Guilty Gear, I play Leo Whitefang. That's okay. Whatever game he's in, I'm playing it.
Okay, I like that.
He could be in Smash. Best believe I'm picking up a Wii. Like that's how it's gonna happen. So I get that. You can't really justify why he's that guy to you, but I get it. I get the feeling for sure. But yeah, something that you mentioned, and I remember like a lot of the times when I used to jump in your stream, you would say something and people would like, you know, tisk you away, right? Like, oh, that's just one of your hot takes, one of your crazy opinions that you're allowed to express because it's your stream, whatever. And then a top player or a JP player would do the same thing and everyone would agree.
Yep.
I would lose my mind.
No.
I would lose my mind if that kept happening to me on stream, right? How do you... I mean, I think it still happens to you today. I remember things, especially with Strive, with like Chip, and then when you have someone like Leffen playing Chip, people hold his opinion higher than yours. How do you think you dealt with that in terms of like, do you think you have to go check the receipts, check my accolades, I know what I'm talking about, or do you just go wait and see?
Okay, so in its rawest form, because I think some people have kind of wanted me to say this for a good while, so I think it's a good time to say it now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest issue in that regard is that Strive players acted like there's no pre-existing scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that frustrated me very much so early on, because it's like, y'all are new here.
Right.
Like, I feel you, but you have to understand that there are other people that have been around. You know what I mean? Even I heard some really weird takes about Samito and some of the other Japanese chips. I'm like, dude, they've been here way longer. You can't say these guys are bad. They're trying to adjust. And so it was a little frustrating at first. And then when I kind of put two and two together, that just people just don't know. Yeah, of course, you know, I had people like Perfect Legend and other people who would like step in and be like, nah, dude, like this guy's legit. Like he knows what he's talking about. He's played this character for like throughout the entire series. Like, you know, and I'm grateful for those people who did that. But I think when I really just came to and just realized that like, this is just a new scene and I get it. What have you done for me lately type beat. But,
right.
You know, in that regard, I would never, it's like, it's just a level, I guess it's a stature thing and follower type thing. Like, I don't think anyone would question Leffen on like Fox, you know, in previous games. No one's going to question him too much in Ultimate like that either. You know, whether he likes the game or not is irrelevant. Whether, and that can be said for any player, you know what I mean? Like, no one's really going to question them. But it's a brand new version of the game. And it's just where the scene is coming from with like newer players versus pre-existing players. A lot of pre-existing players didn't like Strive. So like, it's kind of like if Street Fighter didn't have Daigo, Tokido, Bonchan, et cetera, playing the game.
Right.
Versus, you know what I mean? At that point, it's a completely fresh scene. And like, there's no, I guess you could say, guidance. There's no old guard to challenge. So because all the old guards like, this game sucks, you know, then everyone takes this gigantic ownership of Strive, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like, once I started kind of recognizing that like they're grasping on the Strive, like this is my game. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. You're happy now because you can contest the veterans that don't care about the game. So now it's like where are you at now? You know what I'm saying? It's still Guilty Gear, but you know, it's my Guilty Gear now. So there's a lot of possessiveness with it. So when I understood that people were just being possessive, it's like, okay, I get it. You got it. You know, I'm not going to really fight you guys like that. I'm just going to focus on doing my thing now. Now that this has been understood, now I'm just going to focus on me, because this is a really dumb argument. This is a dumb position. We're just not going to deal with that. You guys do you. I'm going to focus on me. Simple as that.
I mean, that's fair. For your sanity, I think that's the best route to go, right? Because like the plays you mentioned, I think there's a difference between like a top player and a pillar. And I feel a lot of the people, when you're talking about the JP players, they're a pillar. So everything source-wise comes from them. But like you said, in Strive, all the top JP players, I remember like Fabs. I was like, Fabs is the best pop when new people come into Strive. I was like, this guy is insane. But when he wasn't performing as well in Strive, I wanted to ask if I could, you know, if I was bilingual in that, I'll be like, okay, clearly you aren't feeding the game as much as you did as Exard. That doesn't take away from your skill though. There could be information that he dislikes, but it's like a personal reason, right? He might not like how this works, but admit that it's strong. He just doesn't want to play like that. So you can still get information from a player that's not good at the game, but that has that that insight. He's got that vision. And I think a lot of people put too much weight, like I said, on the pillars because they've got a massive follower account. Not saying anyone in particular, right? But if you've got a massive follower account or you're winning, they'll take your perspective.
Essentially.
Yeah, the gospel. They'll take it as gospel.
Right.
And there's a lot of things that top players can't translate very well to casual players. Like
the story, that is the story of my life. Well, I heard this from such and such. Is that true? And I'm like, there's some truth behind it, but let me try to tell you what they're trying to get at. Because it's like, for example, you know, without saying any names, it'd be like, this character's really good. Why?
Yep.
It's because like this is just broken. Well, what's broken? Well, I mean, you just can't do anything about this. Well, what's this? And they're like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, they're trying to tell you this. They're trying to express this, and this is why. And that's a gigantic. And I mean, I think some top players will probably get like razzled when you say stuff like this. It's like, look, a lot of you guys suck at teaching. Let's just keep it a stack. Like, there's no two ways about it. And I've even made a video about it. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. Like, they're good at playing the game and understanding situations, but trying to tell something to someone, like maybe another top player. Like, you can't talk to the audience like they're another top player. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You have to talk to the audience like they don't understand. But the way they communicate, it's like, dude, this is just broken. This is just broken. It's like, bro, this is just broken. Well, okay, context, please. Context, please. And in this day and age, you need context to what you're saying. Otherwise, the masses just take it, as you said, as gospel without... It ends up just being a lot of regurgitation with no real backbone. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, so. It's I just call it sheeple mentality. This character's top tier because I saw this tier list from someone I'm sub to, so it's gotta be true. Why would he lie to me? I'm sub to them. Like, and I honestly, for 99% of things, there's probably some exceptions, but I can't think of anyone. So if someone brings up a situation where it doesn't apply, I'll rethink like the axiom. But I care way more about the process than the conclusion. I don't care if your answer's wrong. I want to know how you got there in the first place, because if you show me your maths problem, right, and you show me the workings out, I can look at it and go, oh, well, if you thought that was times instead of plus, I know why you got that conclusion. Now it makes sense. Right. Then you can go, well, let's discuss if that's a plus or a times. That's where the argument lies. It doesn't lie on the answer of the question, because I don't know how you got there in the first place. And yeah, like you said, it kind of goes away when people hear something. And again, top players, I've been saying this for time in terms of commentary. The top players don't always make the best commentators, even though they have the brain to do so, but they can't vocalize it. They can't translate it.
I agree.
So yeah, I just want people to go like, you can say, I saw this tier list and I agree because. Not, I saw this tier list, I agree.
It will never be because. Like, that extra word, the reason for the agreement, you know.
Yes.
It's never like cause and effect. It's just cause.
All the time.
You know what I mean? It's always just one of the, well, he said it. Well, I guess because he said it, it must be true. Well, what's the effect of it? Do you truly agree? You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, there's got to be a reason. Like I think it's always, like, tier lists are good for discussion.
Yes.
But I think in the current climate of fighting games, the sad truth is most players, and I'm not, this excludes the top players, right? This only applies to the high level. Like, I won't say everyone knows what they're talking about, but they feel that way for their own reasons. The issue is, like, most players are not good enough to be at that level to truly understand why they feel that way. You know, like, they're there for a reason, and they feel that way because of, and a lot of tier lists are kind of based on their character and how they feel about it from their character's perspective. And I mean, Fab, for example, since you mentioned him, he's definitely one of those people that when he's made tier lists and excerpt, it's based on, can Pot handle this? You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of it. And I mean, and it's still a thing to this day. I think it's very, very, very few people that really, when they make their tier list, that they're objective about tools. It tends to be about how they feel versus the kid. And I think that's where tier lists go wrong, because then it turns into, well, you said my favorite character is trash. Well, my character's actually not that bad. And it's like, okay, now you're kind of getting into a discussion, but then people can't really articulate exactly why. You know, it's just, well, he's not bad because he's got this. Well, okay, let's elaborate. Like, how does this work in this matchup? Can this work there? If you think that he's good about this, then let's look at it pound for pound instead of just, like, I mean, I'll give you a super hot take. I don't think Sin's as bad as people make him out to be. For example, he's actually a good character. It's just people don't know what to do. They're just like, well, he doesn't have. It's kind of like fighters. No 2L low, trash. Now I'm gonna be that guy.
Bro.
I'm gonna be that guy. Now I got murked for this when I was playing fighters pretty heavy, right? I was like, I don't know, you guys. EU kind of got it in Dragon Ball. Nah, man. I remember the freaking Vegito discussion.
Yes.
I'm like, let's not do this because I don't know if you guys are looking at Vegito for a second here. Like, I want you to understand something. And I used to say this all the time on stream when I was playing fighters. More than 80% of EU has Vegito on their team. Do you guys understand why? Oh, he has no mix. That character puts you on block strings forever. And if you just so happen to do something wrong, you get touched, that character will explode you. They play heavy neutral base. They don't need, like, he don't need no 2L low to mix you. He's just are you gonna press on me or not? Simple. My neutral is ridiculous. You jumped at me? Well, it looks like you might die. Well, he has a command grab in the air that will delete you. You know what I mean? Like, characters are good for different reasons, and I think that's the same case with Sin. And I don't want to make this too much about Sin, right? But it's just the point of contention here is like characters are good for different reasons.
Yep.
And like most people can't articulate why. Like I know most people have, for example, not to make it too much about Sin, I know they have him low. Yeah. But and some is for good reason. You definitely have some matchups that are like, all right, bro, this is kind of absurd. But look at that Testament. But outside of like Testament and maybe a couple others, like he still has a lot of good qualities about his gameplay, despite being honest Ms. McGee. Like he's honest Ms. McGee for a reason. Like, but I won't get into the semantics on it. But the point of here is like people can't explain why. You know, it's just, well, he sucks because his frame data. Okay, explain. Give me more. It's he's punishable on hit. How many characters are punchable on hit in mad fighting games and they're still good?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's a few, man. There's a few. 100%.
I remember Yamazaki, even in KOF 15, his whips were still kind of punishable on hit. And then they're like, who cares? Now I got Pit Viper. Oh, you got hit? Well, that sucks to be you. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to swing. It's like, oh, you just try. It's like, even though he may be negative like that, they left the open window big enough for Gazelle Step. It's like, do you understand if he had, like, here we go. Theory.
Okay.
If Sin could control Gazelle Step, like how Nago can control Fukio, stop.
Yeah. People are gonna get tight.
That character plays with your reactions, but no one understands that. They're like, yeah, you can just mash him out when he does Gazelle Step. Okay. It's like, oh man, you can react to Rin from Anji. All right, stop getting hit. You know what I mean? Like it's an overhead, man. Like, come on, you're gonna get hit, you know. But that's just my example of like where things are good with like Sin, and like I can explain why. Yeah, and I get it. The only thing I'm ever gonna get hit with when in my takes is, oh, well, you don't play Sin, so blah blah blah. All right. Be right back. I'll wait for Churara to show you guys how to play Sin, and he's been playing a pretty good Sin lately, and I don't know, people are paying attention. They also said Kai wasn't very good. We ain't gonna, you know what? Let me stop, because I'm gonna end up getting into that mode, and it's just like, God, this game has like I've come to the conclusion, and I know we're veering off a bit here, but
let's go.
I've come to the conclusion now, like I see where Strive is good as a game. This patch has proven where the game can be good.
Okay.
Completely. I think so.
Okay. Like I mean, I don't hide the facts. I guess I don't announce it, but I don't play Strive. And it's not really because I don't like the game. I don't think it suits how I like to play, but again, I said it, Leo's in the game, so I'll play it. But the reason I like Leo isn't in Strive. Other than aesthetics, the fact that a lot of his kit is revolved around guesses, for me, that's not why I play fighting games. In Xrd, playing against Shaz to Sean E, playing against Venom with Leo was fun. Because when I got that mix, I felt rewarded. Do you know what I mean? In this game, you know, the screen's really small. Like, he's got really good buttons in terms of like getting his mix started, but that's not the fun part for me. If it's too easy to get my 50-50, I don't feel rewarded. Now I'm just the face roller. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys used to, when I was in your chat, you guys used to say it, and you know what? I can't disagree, because that's what he does once he gets in. And I was in there saying, no, 5K's busted. Then they nerfed it, and I was like, I don't want to play it. They made the character unfun for me. I don't think that's me saying I don't like the game. Yeah, I thought it was fair. But when I was like, yeah, no, the way I think they nerfed Leo because of they made his neutral worse. Yes, his mix is better, but his neutral worse. And to me, I'll always say a 50-50 only works half the time. I'd rather my 5K be good so I can consistently use it. Yeah, that's all I care about. Consistency.
Right. That's fair.
So I think when we're going, like, trying to veer it back to tier list, and we can still keep talking about Guilty Gear. When people do tier lists, I've seen a few people do, my matchup tier list. So they'll be like, I play this character, and this is the tier list for how easy it is to be X, Y, and Z character. I think they're a little bit more poignant, and they get the value of the tier list across a bit better. Like you said, when you just do a tier list, it's very, very hard to get rid of your biases. So you will go, this is the tier list for the whole game from the perspective of me, where I'm located. You know, my spawn location dictates a lot. The character I use, who I'm playing against all the time, what tournaments this character has won in other regions. And I'm like, I know there's no small print under the tier list maker, but you have to keep that in mind when you're expressing why characters are in what place. I've seen literally like a week ago, someone put Ginyu in that needed nerfs. And I was like, the first thing I said is, why are you nerfing a character that's all mids? And they were like, yeah, he's just got too many, he's got too much pressure. And I was like, is that it? You want to nerf a character that you hardly ever seen, you probably don't know that well in terms of exposure, because he's a pretty rare character, but you want to get him nerfed. Like, I would rather you just put me in like question mark. But, you know, some people do tier lists for engagements. Some people do it,
of course.
Some people do it for like a way to start a conversation, because I agree with you. They are really good for conversation starters, but the conversation doesn't go beyond you're wrong.
It's the conversations that come about with tier lists are too savage.
They're very personal.
Way too savage. They're way too savage. So it doesn't, like, even me, I'm looking at more so making, I've been working on it for a little while now, since, you know, Jacko's been the main for a good while now, since Evo, pretty much.
Okay.
And I'm working on it where I'm trying to explain where she's good, where she's bad, from my perspective. And obviously her matchups and things like that. Like, I have a lot to say about her now. A lot. Some of it's going to be hot takes. Some of it, I mean, call it a hot take if you will. I mean, it's just how I personally feel. You know, you can call it a hot take if you want, right? But,
yeah,
you know, I'm the one out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
I think
but that's on the way.
I was gonna say, so leading into the teaching part, is there any like techniques you have come up with when, you know, someone's in your chat or someone sends you a DM and they're like, oh, you said this? I'm guessing this doesn't happen often, but you said this, can you explain? All right. I know a lot of people in your chat, they are down to have a conversation.
Always.
Yeah, but when you've got like YouTube content, it's a lot harder to kind of draw those people in. So have you got ways of going, this is what I think, and this is what I would say to anyone, but I've got to think about the casual audience. I have to, you know, put it in this sort of way, or I have to translate it. I have to be like the casual whisperer and find a new way to get my point across. Do you ever do anything like that?
I used to. The thing is, people would ask questions all the time in chat, and I'll just like, I got comments on Reddit about this. They're like, this dude will answer the same question in the same, like, differently, but come to the same answer. Even though someone's asking, he doesn't get mad, doesn't, like, it's kind of abysmal. Like, how does he do it? It's like, that's fucking amazing. How do you do it? And it's just, I know people are trying to learn. So like, I treat, if someone asks me, why would I hit, for example, why would you do minion super in the corner? I'm gonna show you why and explain why. If someone asks me the same question 2 hours from that point, I'm gonna do the same answer and explain it again the same way. Now, that's on stream. Now on YouTube, it's a little bit different. YouTube, I'll explain in the comments, but I've done it one time in particular where like I actually shut people up pretty heavily. And it was when I talked about jump cancels. And I made a whole video, edited everything out, this, that, and the third. And I had people, oh, dude, you just want this to be old Guilty Gear. Oh, it's not going to be Strive anymore if you do this. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Okay, so you know what? I know exactly how I'm going to do this. So what I did was, not even within the same week of me dropping that video, what I went on and did, I made the video on stream, right? And I was like, okay. I was like, I normally don't do that very often, but I was like, okay, look. And I looked into the camera and I was like, look, this is for you guys in the YouTube comments talking about this, that, and the third and saying, oh, don't do this and do that. This is for you, okay? And I did it without the edits. And the same people who were like going nutso in my comments came back into that video. Well, I mean, I didn't mean it like that. And I'm like, oh, so now when you're getting called out, you're like, bro, but I mean, everyone is a warrior on that keyboard. Like, they are like Rambo on the keyboard. But then when you call them out, they're like, I mean, I didn't mean it like that. Look, I get it. You didn't mean it like that, but I meant it like that. So you either readjust how you want to type on that keyboard to me, or you can keep it a stack and Rambo it away if you want. Yay, you got a full clip? I got 3 more where that came from. You know what I mean? So that's fine. If you wanna shoot, I'll shoot back. Like I mean, as a content creator now, I've hit the point where like I've learned that like my level is here, their level is here. And there's no point in arguing too much with people who aren't thinking like you here. My job as a teacher has been trying to help people elevate to get to at least the middle ground, right? To where you can kind of understand me, but you're still kind of here. So I want your understanding to get here so that as you grow, you'll eventually hit here. And then what ends up happening is you keep growing. So my content has always been around free thought. Like, I want you to not think like me, but I'm presenting something for you to think about. I don't want you to like take what I say and treat it as law. I want you to take what I say and think about it. And I've presented that to people since Xrd. I've never really changed my philosophy around that. I've changed how I've constructed things in terms of making content to help people kind of understand, because like I feel like a lot of my stuff was around, it catered more to the intermediate player. I think now as I've grown as a creator and streamer and all other stuff, right? Like I've kind of found a good middle ground to where I can help the people who were in the beginning phases kind of catch up, and the people who are in the intermediate to improve. So it's kind of like, if you watch and pay attention to what I'm saying, and this is for people who are watching this, right? If you want to learn more about me, you will eventually kind of start here. If you're here, you'll eventually be like, oh wait, that makes sense. And then you will automatically get elevated up here, because you now went from a beginner thought process to now, oh, that's how the game works. And then you should like, and my content is designed to make you think, essentially. And if you're thinking, that means you're improving. That's how I see it. I think for like contrast to what you're saying, I think we got the same goal. I just got a completely different way. I am definitely from the school of Vegeta. I don't learn until my arm gets broken that I'm not strong enough for this conversation. I will, sometimes I masquerade it as like a hot take or I'm memeing. But you know, most memes have an element of truth from the person who's saying it. And I want my takes to be challenged in a way that makes me look stupid, because that is my motivation. That's the quickest way for me to get motivated. But like you said, people learn differently. People absorb information in so many different ways. That's why you're a better teacher than me, because you have multiple ways of doing it. I am just like, try by fire, get your ass kicked, then come back stronger. The Zenkai boost, you got that Saiyan blood, get beat up and then you come back stronger. And most people don't like that way of engaging, which I totally understand. I totally understand it. For me, that's how I got into the fighting game community. When I first jumped in Xrd, I don't know if I might have told you this. When I first jumped in Xrd, I got put in a WhatsApp group, and my mate, shout out to CT, he got me in there, and the meme was to call me CT's friend. On people's phones, under my number, it was CT's friend, and I was just like, oh, that's weird. Why would no one use my name? And they were like, until you win a tournament, you're just going to be CT's friend, because you're probably just going to not play the game after a while. Like all the people, you know, when a new game comes out, you get the people that ride the wave and then bounce off when they start losing. And I was like, you know what? That's fair, because I'm sure that happens to you all the time. And I won a tournament, and now I'm C4. I'm not CT's friend. But I know 90% of people would have been, fuck it, I'm going back to whatever game I was playing prior, right?
But that's why I respect you, because like you said, you've got time to explain the same concept over and over again and never seem frustrated. And I think what you was talking about with your YouTube content, because that's kind of like for me now, that's the main source of information. Because I know you're really busy, especially when you're streaming and you do multiple games. You just don't play fighting games, for people that don't know. Is the content in terms of fighting games different to like when you play FPSs or you do your speed runs and stuff? Is the way you translate your information different because of the audience, or is it because of like the genre of game? Or
I present information the same no matter what game I'm playing.
Right.
So like if they're like, yeah, I'll use speedrun brain, but I'll still present it in the same fashion. Like, oh, this is how this works because of this. So like, for example, when I was playing Hi-Fi Rush, my big thing is like, DMC, Ninja Gaiden player. I'm looking for animation cancels. What can I do here? How can I break this? Like, how can I break this game while doing combat, And then stream would be like, even like, I played Crisis Core recently. I was like, oh, this game has animation cancels with guard. Okay, cool. Now I can do higher DPS with Zac. Like, I didn't think to do that. I'm like, really? But I'll still explain it, and I'll be like, okay, this is how you do this is how you do that, and like, oh, on the second hit you can block cancel with Zac and then dodge and this, that, the other. Like, why are you being so technical with this? I'm like, it's a video game. Like, I want to know how it works. I played enough action games to know animation cancels are good. Can I dodge cancel this? Can I magic cancel this? Like, what can I do to make this more exciting and fun and more technical to play, other than just, I can button mash square until the enemy's dead, of course, but like, I want to find a different way to play. So
yeah, I think that goes to, I always used to put this in terms of fighting game players do this more than everyone else, but I'm probably wrong and I'm just ignorant, right? But I feel with fighting game players, their main goal, especially when they go into team mode, is to break the rules. They're given restrictions of what this character can and cannot do, and everyone goes in there to break the rules to make it more unfun for their opponent when they play online, offline, PvP.
You might be onto something.
And then I think of like speedruns. They're literally trying to actually break the game.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
When you've got Link running into a mountain, it wasn't designed that way. Someone went, I know these devs made a flaw. I'm going to find it and exploit it, and then everyone else can exploit it.
I agree.
And I think you said like free thinking. I'll probably say like critical thinking, which is basically the same thing. I want people to look at situations and not necessarily like break it, but just figure out, like you said, when someone said, oh, why are you doing that? It's kind of like, because I want to be optimal. Like, I think that's everyone's goal when they play a game, right? They want to be as optimal as physically possible, right? Not everyone's got the execution to do like Jacko or old chip combos. So you see your own limitations and you have to expect the game has limitations that are false, that aren't real, that aren't there. It just takes someone to find it. And when you're teaching, do you think trying to get people to not just get the concepts that you're presenting on the table, ask more questions to push you and them to find other ways around like limitations in games?
I think it's because when I step into training mode, I already have like a bucket list of questions. Like, it's always, how does it work? Why does it work? Can I extend this? Right? That's like the basis. And then when I get to the basis, then I like go into the sub outlet. All right, what's the situation post hit? Can they DP here? Is this a safe jump? Is this not a safe jump? Is this fake? Is this real? Does this corner carry? Can I sacrifice damage here? Can I get a cross up if I sacrifice damage here? Can I dash cancel BRC? Like, and I just keep asking questions, and it just amounts and it amounts, and then it's like, people see that and they're like, well, what? Then they start asking those same questions. I'm like, I already thought of it. I'm already ahead. But the fact that they ask me is like good, because now they're thinking like, well, what if my character can do that? And I'm like, you know what? 1 second, let me take a break from Jacko or Chip or whoever I'm playing. Let's try it with that character and let's see what this same kind of situation can yield for this character. And they're like, oh wow, I can do that. And I'm like, yeah, you can. Just try. There are answers here.
Yeah.
So
I've definitely been in the stream where you've like abandoned your like crusade to finding something just to go, let's find out if you're right. Let's see. You're doing something with Jacko and someone's like, oh, I wonder if you can do that testament. You'll be like, guess it's time to go find out. It's like a real-time episode of Mythbusters or something. It's it's pretty sick.
I'm always on a quest for knowledge, man. You can never not know enough. You know what I mean? Like, there was a point in time in Xrd, right? I remember a lot of people were having trouble with Hey Hune, and I was like, okay. And it was the point in time, I think, when they buffed Air Hayabusa, and like that, the box in that move was pretty jacked.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I don't know what to do, blah blah blah. Like, what do you think? And I'm like, I got you. I had an entire stream where I went through character after character. I went through the entire roster, including Hey Hune herself, to find an answer for Air Hayabusas. And I was like, I'm gonna show you exactly how to beat this. And it was a simple answer. You know, use YRC, because you halt the momentum of the Hayabusa when they try to move it forward. And I'm like, now we learn how to anti-air it. What characters can not only halt it, but can you get behind it? Can you and most characters could just 2H it if they had a good anti-air 2H. Or if you're a speedster, YRC run behind the character and like completely kill Hey Hune. It's like, wait, just 25 bars. So you might lose a little bit of damage, but it's the post-hit situation that matters. Not to mention, are they gonna burst? And this is Xrd, so mad characters got jump cancel, so they're not gonna burst for free. You know what I mean? And you can air through the burst in that game too. There's too many. Once you hit them, it's like, well, they got to make a choice. And I did it with every character, and they're like, dude, that's crazy. You could do all this, and I'm like, yeah, I did all this in like what? I don't know, under 3 hours. You know, even when Johnny when Johnny's pressure was crazy with like /6H, I was like, all right, let's try doing IB with every character and stop him from doing these few things. And they're like, you did that with every? That was an 8-hour stream. I went through a lot of his offensive options from watching Karen Chu, and I was like, nah, we're not gonna get hit by that. I don't care. And I don't care if you knew it with your character and I showed you with your character. My goal was to find it with Chip first and foremost, and then after we go through Chip and I know what he can do, now we're gonna go through what everyone else can do, so that, like, you know, it's not just for me. You know, my knowledge, having it, I don't really need it to know it. You know, these aren't the characters that I play, but it's just knowing what you can do, so when there's a discussion, I can tell you, nah, you can try to opt for this instead.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's like a way of compensating for your bias when you look at a character, because normally, like you said, when you interact with a character and they're strong, that's why you put them top tier. But what you've done is gone, okay, my character might be able to deal with it, but let's say 80% of the cast can't. Right, so I would say overall he's stronger, even though I personally, with my character, can deal with it. You've got a broader vision of, a bigger scope of the playing field, right?
Pretty much. I think that's why I'll be personally biased here. Like, and I have good reason for it. It's because I do that is why I'm able to make a tier list about the game. Right. Because I will sit there and lab every character in every situation, like in the current situations that are strong, right? So like, let's say Ram has a compromising spot. Okay, how does this character deal with it? How does that character deal with it? Like, or obviously we know Chaos is like a big point of discussion in Strive right now, and still to this day. But it's like, you know, people have found more ways to beat him, and it's, you know, people still doom about him, and I'm like, you know, if you kind of, there are rules to the matchup, you know, and I figured out those rules, and I've explained those rules to people, and they're like, I don't understand how that works. Like, I'm like, nah, you follow these guidelines, and if you hit, like, let's say the matchup is like 5 checkboxes. If you can hit anywhere from minimum 3 to 4 checkboxes, you can win the match. You know, it's not
in Strive, 100%. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, like I said, I'm biased in that regard because I'm more willing to do what most current top players, and I guess you could say even some of the content creators, won't do. You can argue with me and say, well, you don't play the character, right? But I will still put that character in the most compromising scenarios that are possible right now, and look at how they can handle those situations, even though I don't play them. I like it's kind of like field testing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't have to go out I don't have to go out in the field and know that this AR is like jacked up. You know what I mean? Like this gun is crazy good. You know, the rate of fire, et cetera, like, you know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's extreme, but you know, I don't need to play the character at the highest level because I already think at that level. So if I'm thinking at that level and putting that character in the compromising situations, if these characters, like, oh my God, like Marvel Infinite was a big example of that. When Marvel Infinite came out and everyone was talking a big game about, Dormammu flame carpets, this is too good. You know, the Rocket Raccoon situation that Sonic Fox had, you can't do anything about it. And I found answers, and they're like, nah, Sonic Fox wouldn't make anything fake. I'm like, you're right. You're right. Sonic Fox won't make anything that's fake, for sure, right? But to say that it's uncontestable, to say that this is just broken and you can't do anything about it, I refuse. You're not gonna sit here and tell me, well, I'm playing Sonic Fox, he did Rocket Raccoon stuff. Well, I guess I'll just die. You know, he did the setup. I mean, I can't do nothing about it. You know, I don't have the training mode. You know, when I bought my copy of Marvel Infinite, it didn't come with training mode. In fact, it didn't even come with Rocket Raccoon. He's not on my version of the game, right? The same. It's like he has the same training. I'm sorry, Sonic Fox. Excuse my school French. They have the same training mode like I do. I'm gonna watch what they doing, and I'm gonna put that in the lab, and I play my team, and I'm gonna find an answer to it. When I showed all these answers for all these things in the game, even someone showed some of my clips to Maximilian with Strider on how to deal with going flame carpet, and he was like, damn, that's pretty sick. And I'm like, bro, do you know I am a technician. I will do the things you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna shame some players here for this. And it's kind of like, it's not intentional, but like, people were competing in that game. I was mostly just a streamer for that game. I found more answers in the game than the people competing at it. I'm like, you're the one in the tournaments. Go figure out your answers. I'll keep the player unnamed for the sake of. It's like, hey, can you find an answer with my characters? I'm like, aren't you the one competing? Aren't you in Battle for the Stones?
Damn, you limited it. You're gonna have some mathematicians in the chat going, oh, okay. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
You know, like, I'm fine. I mean, I remember showing people how good Ryu was, or like Ryu's ass. I'm like, that fool's got force tech situations that'll really jack you up. He may not be the best character, but his force tech situations were really strong, especially early on in the game. Of course, now the game's evolved way past that, amongst other things. But like, I was really understanding Marvel Infinite very quickly. And I mean, I do that a lot. I will never not figure something out, especially early on in the game's lifespan. I'm like, I'm gonna go through every single character. I'm gonna find something. And the only character I didn't really do that with was Doctor Strange, because like, I'm gonna let all the Strange, you know, heads do their thing, and I'll grab some Twitter stuff, and then I'll evolve it. But the other characters, I'm gonna kind of work on how they operate and how they function in these scenarios, and you know, all the crazy stuff F-Champ put out there. And I'm like, I'm gonna find an answer. This is you can't tell me there's no answer. I refuse for someone out there in the internet that is playing fighting games to tell me that there is no answer to something until I've tested it. I'm gonna be real with you. If I test it and there is no answer, one more case in point, then I'm gonna shut up. Majin Obama came into the stream one time, and this is when Johnny came out in Rev 2. He's like, yo, Kensou, I gotta know, man. You got the training mode. I need to know. Does Batman have any answer to Johnny with this stuff? I'm like, I did the setup, I did the combo. And I looked at them. I'm sorry, brother. Like, you can't do nothing. You know, he's like, damn. Batman can't do nothing. I'm like, you gotta hold that, dog. Like, this is it. And everyone knows, and especially at that time, like, I had answers for all the top tier at the time. So it's like, I'm always willing to find an answer for your character. I mean, I don't mind. I'm not calling anyone out here. I'm not calling Obama in particular out on it, but even he just knew, like, he's a lab rat. He gonna find an answer. You know, that's not, and Batman's not my character, you know, but I'll find an answer. Like, I may not be good with him, but if I know the kit and understand, like, okay, if you IB here, FD that, okay, maybe you can punish here, but he's a big body. He ain't got nowhere to go. So
yeah,
he had no answers.
I mean, I think it's like the same goal, different perspectives, which is fine. You know, the thing I would say or ask you is, I'm super scared of creating an echo chamber. Now, if, for example, you know, I was doing what you did, like our streams playing X game, and I'm going, I think this, because, and then everyone in the chat's going, yeah, he's right. I'll be super scared, because at that point, there's going to be a point where you can't discern if they're just yes men or they're actually understanding, which I think can do a lot of harm to the person who's being the teacher, because I think for like, maybe not for the teaching role, but for the knowledge role, you need to be challenged. That's my personal opinion. I think you need to be challenged. If you know a lot and you're explaining it, and you have a process of how you get that information, if no one ever challenges how you get the information, you can miss things. Do you ever think like, I wish someone would not like prove you wrong, but at least challenge what you're saying?
So this might seem a little big-headed.
I mean,
no,
you've been doing a good job. No, yeah, okay, fair. I was about to say, listen, I know how you talk, and I'm like, you sound big-headed, but I know you can back it up. So yeah, that ship is long gone, my dude.
It's mostly because like, when I talk with certain players about certain things in the game, I just listen. And then my thing is, I'm constantly challenging what the top players say naturally, right? Because I'd like to find, as I said earlier, meaning beyond meaning, right? But the difference is, I don't need to challenge them. I challenge myself.
Right.
Like,
okay.
I always challenge my own knowledge. Like, okay, I was right now, but let's see how this is evolving. And then I always try to, it's crazy. I future-proof a lot of what I say. And like, even now, I've been saying Jacko's probably the best in the game right now if it wasn't for Happy Chaos. And I don't know about that. Okay, that's fine. I don't need you to believe me. Like, my thing is, I believe in myself more than I need other people to believe in me in that regard. Like, you can choose, like, it's your choice. But I believe in what I believe in because of how I see the game. And I've always been the outlier when it came to Guilty Gear, and like, I feel like in NA, I've always been the outlier in how I look at Guilty Gear. And I've always been low-key praised by a lot of Japanese players because they're like, it's really technical thinking. Because even they're like, okay, you understand. You're just like, you just need to climb, the levels to really put it to use. And I mean, it's not like it's just Guilty Gear. I mean, I'll give you another case in point. DNF duel. Oh man, Kunoichi's guard break is not doable. Really? Hold my beer.
Yeah.
I'm still to the, bro, who was it? Korean Wrestling Man. I looked at my Twitter after I did it at Can Opener. Every Kunoichi player is following me now, asking me how to do the guard break. I'm like, to be fair, I didn't even come up with this. Someone else did. I'm just doing what you don't want to do. I'm doing what you refuse to try to do. That's not practical. And everyone's guard crushing everyone in DNF duel.
It's basically a B&B at this point.
Yeah, so I'm like, I learned different ways to go about it. Like, I learned how to do it differently. The starting point is the same. The ending point is different in how I go about it against every character, because everyone's guard meter is different.
Yep.
So I'm like, dude, you just learn how to do it this way. Like, man, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, it's been there. The information is out here. I'm just doing what you refuse to do. I decided to lab it and learn how it worked. That's it.
I think,
you know what I mean?
I think when you say the information is out there, I had this issue. So let me cycle back a bit. So the reason I asked you the question about the echo chamber is because I know that I'm not very sociable when I go to like events and stuff. I talk to very few people. I'm happy to, do my commentary, go back to my room, because I feel like I've almost mastered the art of arguing with myself. So when I find something, I can debate myself in and out of the position. And that's how I kind of stop myself feeling that I could get, put into like a bubble where everyone just agrees with me. I know, just like what you said, I know my own ability, not in terms of finding the information, but challenging it, because I will devil's advocate myself until I have to fall asleep. Like, I'll happily do that. And that's mostly because most people around me, I don't think could do a good job. I hear people do arguments. I'm like, I don't even believe what you believe, but I could do a better job defending what you think.
Okay. I got you.
So I'm like, I can't. There's so few people that I can rely on to like pin me down and be like, well, you said this isn't the case. Here's my evidence. So I'll just do it to myself. In terms of what you were saying with the gaining knowledge part, right? Would you? How do I put this? Because you believe you have the ability to understand things at a super high level, and you have top players kind of evaluating what you're doing and going, yeah, he's right. He Kensou hasn't missed. Kensou ain't missing. Do you ever think that you're at a stage where you can't be taught anything?
No, I think I can always be taught.
Right.
I think Strive in particular is the time where I've had to really take that step and pull myself out.
Right.
And like, not just relearn, but take into how the game is meant to be played. Because part of what I had to learn on this journey since Evo was like, no matter how much I love playing Chip, that's my dude on the screen, but that's not my play style. You know, like I'm trying to forcefully do it.
Amen.
You know?
Yep.
And I realized in going back to Jacko that like the things that I love about Guilty Gear are in that character, and the things that I love about Chip are also in that character. So I'm not really I don't feel like I can't be taught. That's not true. I think the issue in particular is that like, well, or rather not really the issue, but what I've done is taken a step back and listened to some other close friends of mine that, you know, watch me play on stream and have kind of helped me since Evo to really like bridge the gap and where I'm not being efficient and where I needed to like readjust. And I think it's not even letting go of my prestige with Chip, but it's more like evolving, right? Like I needed to evolve past my favorite character and understand that like I have to start over. And it's okay to start over. The goal here is not just to start over, but to take in as much information as possible, and then to go around how can I go past that? You know, how do I play my neutral game better? And I've been listening more to them, and they've been very instrumental in me improving. So I don't ever for 1 minute think that I can't be taught. I think what separates me in that regard from everyone else is once I'm taught something, I go past it. Like, how do I go further? Okay, my neutral could be better here. Okay, how do I improve that? How do I make a cutoff point? Where does it start and where does it stop? You know what I mean? Like with that, and when I feel comfortable there, okay, now I can move forward. And I guess pushing it back in terms of takes and things like that, like just because I have strong opinions about something, it doesn't mean that like another person, another player, doesn't matter the skill level, can teach me something. Because it's all about perspective, and the more information I have, the better I'm gonna be, right?
Yep.
So like I don't know, I just feel like it's gonna sound funny, but like it's kind of like Bruce Lee. Like you gotta stay fluid. You gotta treat it like water. You know what I mean? Like you have to be ever flowing. You have to be flexible,
right?
And you have to let go of certain parts of like your player pride in order to get to those areas. And I've done that since Xrd in particular, but I think like I really had to push that envelope with this game because I had to start over, and that's okay. So that's how I see it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like a difference. I feel. Okay, no, I got a question. This will like clarify in my head. So, do you have like a filter for when people are telling you you're doing X wrong, or you should try this, or you're whack at this? Because obviously you're gonna get inundated with people, you know, throwing their opinion at you.
Oh yeah.
I think, especially when you're streaming, you don't have the time to like discern everything that's being said to you. I don't have this problem. So like if someone's saying something to me, as long as they put because XYZ, I'll be like, cool, I'll look into it. But when you're streaming, obviously you don't always have that context, right? Can you, for example, will you look at the person who's saying it, or does that matter to you? Do you go, oh, well, I've tested this, I know I'm right, you're probably wrong, sort of thing? Do you have any filters to kind of go, I'll consider what you said, but you're just chatting waffle? Do you have anything like that, or do you try to just take in everything? And
I would say that happens to me when I play Tekken, because it's for this reason and this reason alone, and I'm like extremely flattered by it. I think it's because everyone in the stream knows I have the ability to do it.
Right.
They know I have the ability to like go far if I want to. And so they just throw me a lot of information at once, and they're like, you're gonna get it. And it's like, I tell everyone, just give me time. Like, you guys give me information, like, you need to use forward Jin more. And I'm like, okay, tell me why. And they'll be like, oh, well, you need to space out this character. I'm like, thank you. So if I say why, they'll tell me. And I think my stream has come to the conclusion that they know that if they're gonna give me information, they tell me why. Because I tell them why when I explain what I'm doing. So it's only on occasion where they're like, you need to use this more, and I'm like, tell me why. And then they'll go, okay, this, and I'm like, okay, you need to sidestep left a little bit more. What am I looking for? Forward 4-2, got it. You know, so I get that benefit of them explaining things to me, and they give me the reasons. You know, so like I guess I don't ever filter them out nearly as much, as opposed to like, it's mostly when they try to like get me like, where are your electrics at? I'm like, bruh.
Okay.
You know, it's like you need to use electric more. And like, look, I get it.
Yeah. Self-evident.
You know? Yeah. I got you. You need to whiff punish more. Okay, I know.
You need to stop taking damage. Oh, really? Safe.
You don't say. You know, but like when those come up, I just meme it because I want the stream to also have a good time, because I want them to understand that like I'm human too, and I make mistakes, and I can always be better too, you know. So like I feel like in Guilty Gear I'm a little less human, if you will. But when I'm playing Tekken, it's like I'm not as demonic. You know what I mean? Maybe if I play like Zafina or like Julia, because I have a lot more experience with him, because right now I'm just trying to learn Jin because he's in Tekken 8, so it's more, I feel more comfortable learning him right now.
Right.
Because I don't know if my two characters are gonna be in Tekken 8, at least on launch. They'll probably make it in, but just maybe not on launch. So I'm like, all right, let's learn Jin. And you know, I guess Jin is like the content creator character right now, because everyone's fucking playing Jin. Copycats. But that's besides the point. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel like I'm untrainable. I feel like I'm human, and when you teach me things, and I tell people this all the time. Sometimes this is kind of true. I'm like one of the last people you want to teach something, because I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna expand and expand and expand and expand and expand and expand, and whatever you gave me was this, and I turned it into this. So, and I'm gonna use it against you. You know, and it's not bad. It's just it went from just play this in neutral. Now you gotta deal with a minion attack, a soccer kick, super. You know what I mean? My anti-air. Man, but I told you just look out for this. Yeah, but now I created extra variables that now you have to worry about.
Right. It sounds like, if I'm wrong, obviously let me know. In the different games, the dynamics change. So if we take your stream as a village, right? Village of people, you're the chief, for example, because it's your stream. If it was like when you're on Strive, you're like #1 headband on this throne. You probably can't tell me nothing, but I'll listen to what you got to say. And then when it comes to something like Tekken, where you're on that journey to get to the throne, you're in amongst everyone else, but they're looking at you to kind of prove their predictions or to prove their advice is useful or good, because through you they can go, oh yeah, if you do this a bit more, you will do a little bit better. You do what they say, and then they can go, I guess I did give good advice. And you can obviously take that and then kind of, I guess, recycle the teaching element. Do you see what I'm saying? But that's only in that game. I would say is the core foundation of the whole you teaching people, the fact that it's got that kind of like village aspect. So if people from outside came in, whether it be that they're just haters or they think they're better than you, do you think that would ruin the dynamic or make it better? Would the village improve with more sort of a mixture of personalities or thought processes? Do you think that would like hinder or improve the kind of community you've got?
At that point, then I turn back into old me, put up or shut up.
Right.
So if you want to challenge, okay, well, let's do it. But it's never malicious. It's just help me understand, and then we can go from there. Because I think, and I think that's what separates me from most streamers and players. It's like I'm willing to take the challenge, and I want to understand. Because what happens more often than not is they're like, oh, well, you see, this is what I meant, and now that we kind of understand this, now you see why this is good. Oh yeah, cool. That's it. Like, thanks. Now I'm smarter about this. You know what I mean? It's because to me, it's not about to me, in a lot of ways, it's not about I'm right, you're wrong. It's just present information. That's it.
Yeah.
I just want people to present information. Like, I don't care about anything else. Because at this stage in the game in particular, as a player, I'm more concerned about the improvement aspect and the consistency than anything else.
Right.
So if you have a reason, it's fine. Let's just, I don't know. I feel some people have kind of gotten rowdy in that regard. Like they try to I guess the personalities kind of clash in some ways. It's mostly in chat as opposed to me. And it just boils back to the same thing. Okay, well, if you two are arguing about that, well, let's take a look at it. The game is on in front of you guys. I can turn it on and test it out. It's just that simple. Like, if you got a theory craft and you think that this is not good enough, okay, well, let's look at it. The game is here. These are the facts. This is what's presented to us. Yes, factually, this is good. This is strong. Good. Now, here's why you can beat it. Here's why you lose to it. That's it.
Yeah. No, I think it kind of circles a bit back to what you were saying when you was talking about the answers are there. People just need to, I feel maybe you see it the same way I do. Like, if you have a question, the answer is T mode. That is the answer. Like,
it is.
But I think other people will go, oh, why does this happen? The answer's in T mode, so I have to look in T mode. I think that's the difference between like how we look at it and how other people look at it, where
of course
it's like saying, oh, okay, how do you deal with bison scissor kick? Right, just arbitrary thing out there. We'll go, oh, we'll just look there. What most other people go is, oh, is that needle in that haystack over there? I'll try and ask for someone who's already found a needle. Me personally, I think it's because people don't like T mode. Outside of learning a combo, people don't like T mode. Let me put the asterisk there. The amount of people that don't learn defensive stuff, they think they know a matchup, but they actually don't know a matchup because they're beating players that aren't good with that character. They've gaslit themselves into thinking they're good at that matchup. Where I think there's, especially in Exard with characters like Axel and like Mei, characters that I could physically play because I didn't have the dexterity to play Johnny. I just couldn't. So I had to ask good Johnny players to get MU. Same with like Venom. But the characters that I could use, I would go into T mode and bar one guy, shouts to Robo, who had the sickest Axel. I could, in my head, theory craft a better version of Axel than I've played against. So my labbing in T mode against my pre-recorded Axel felt harder than playing actual Axel players. And that's why I was thinking, me and you see the answer is T mode, where other people see the answer is in T mode, so they still have to search. Do you think there's anything you could do, or people could do in general, anyone who's got like the sort of platform you have, do you think there's anything people can do to make people enjoy T mode as much as we do? Because that's what it is, right? We enjoy the search for the answer. You don't think it's doable? Okay,
it's
cool.
Mostly
I agree, by the way.
Like, it's mostly because, prime example, I play Apex Legends. The biggest button on the screen is ready. No one's swapping. They swap to ranked,
right,
and click ready. They don't give two shits to go into that training room, practice their aim for a minute. I'm gonna just do this one game and that's my practice. No warm-ups, no nothing, because they don't think for 1 minute that training is important. It's like, I want to be as ridiculous as Michael Jordan. You know how many man hours that man put into being ridiculous at the sport? How much training camps? They see the result and they want the result. They don't want to go through the rigmarole because they think it's a video game. And it is, and because it's a video game, so why should I have to do this? Like, I should just be able to play and just learn. Now, yes, Strive is designed that way. The problem with that, C4, that's just the beginning stages. When you get to intermediate, that is no longer a thing.
Yep.
But people don't want to do that because they expect players like myself to, give them the answers. And while I don't have a problem with that, the issue still remains is, can you execute it when it's time?
Yeah.
So even though I've given you the answer, you don't want to lab it. Okay, fine. So you're like, I'm gonna do this every time I see it in tower, and then they don't do it. And then the one time that they do it, you get beat up, and then you're like, man, you said that this worked. No, you opted to not train yourself to see it. The difference is I trained myself to see it. You're not like, people don't understand that they need to train themselves to see things. They think that labbing a combo over and over again is enough. Now that's good to lab your execution, because most people, when they hit you, they're pretty optimal, especially in Strive, right? But you know, learning how to be good on defense is something people don't want to do. They figure, well, the best offense is offense. It's not the best offense is defense. Is, you know, they just, and a lot of the fighting games are designed to really kind of get you to, don't get him, Tiger. You know what I mean? Type beat. So everyone feels that like defense is useless, but like, you know, in the most recent patches, in particular in Strive, they've readjusted defense. And then you had games like Type Lumina where defense is just kind of like, whoa, you know? And I don't know, just defense is just not something people care about. They just figure, okay, I'll just block. You know, blocking is enough. You ever thought about IBFDing and running underneath them, maybe pushing them away, jumping out, fuzzy jumping? They are aware of these options, but they don't use them. And then when they do use them, they use them at the worst times and say, this isn't good. And it's like, no, you didn't practice. You didn't learn where to apply it. Like the amount of people that still don't do 6P OS, right? Like 4P plus K on cross-ups to get a 6P. People just manually press 6P. And I've checked some of my replays for people who hit me with cross-up 6Ps, and I'm like, you didn't even do the OS. But, you know, I get it. You were just walking backwards, and you just so happen to hit punch. Right, like, yeah, it works. Now, if I stayed in front and you press jab, then you lose, right? Because you get counter hit and you did it wrong. But they don't, you know, defensive option selects, like, I don't know. They just think it's too much. It's like, the thing that's not too much is me hitting you. This isn't too much. Me hitting you and doing offense and getting command grab into my mix, that's not too much. I spent all these hours learning how to mix. Why can't I kill you? Because your neutral's poop. Your defense is poop. You know what I mean?
Okay. So I'm gonna try hit you with a gotcha, because up until this point, I feel like we both had the same mentality. Like, the answer is there. There is something you can do. But when it came to how do you get casual players to care about those aspects of defense, he was like, nah. And I have the same feeling. But is that us just being like, it's not worth searching for that answer?
No.
So do you actually think you cannot get a casual player to like the, let's just say the not cool things, the uncool things, so not like the touch of deaths and the 50-50 mixes, like how to IB throw or how to do like a crouch taken Street Fighter? You don't think you can make that appealing to casual players?
Oh, you can.
Oh, so you can. Okay.
I think so. My thing is, my first answer was like, I think people don't like it, right? Like they don't want to do it, right?
Yes.
Is there a way to make it fun? There is. I'm working on that as we speak, because I think. Nah, I'm gonna just keep that to myself. Yeah, but just know that I'm working on it. Just know that I'm working on it.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But I mean, I guess I think there's a way to make it fun. I think it's just we don't have enough content creators that know how. Right. And this isn't a call to action. Keep doing what you're doing. It's fine, you know. But I think it's just the concept of. Like, it's like people feel like they should be doing something in a video game. That's what it boils down to.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people want to treat it trial by fire because they're like, well, if I get beat up, I'll just learn. But the problem with it is not everyone learns trial by fire. And like, the crazy part is, even though Strive's designed to be simple, and I'm just using it just because it's the game that I play, but the training mode is very robust. And like, it's there for you if you want to learn these concepts. And I think shitty part is the game doesn't teach you how to utilize training mode, but like I think everything is very self-explanatory. I don't know, it's like, it's weird, right? Like I think people want the game, they want to turn the game on and the game give you everything. Like they forget that like there's a part of like video games where like there's like exploration and like discovery. Like if everything told you where all the broken items are in like Final Fantasy, it wouldn't be fun.
Sleep.
You know what I mean? You would just go get, all right, I'm gonna go get the Ultra Golden Buster Sword and game is sleep. You know what I mean? Like people had to learn W summon mime Knights of the Round in FF7 to like just come. Like, have you ever seen that C4?
I've seen some people stream it.
Dude, okay. Weapon summon mime Knights of the Round lets you mime maxed material, lets you mimic any attack from anyone on the team. And if you Knights of the Round is like the most broken summon in FF7.
Right.
Vanilla. And like, if you equip all that on every character, like W summon mime Knights, it's like, oh, you did Knights of the Round? You just watch Knights of the Round for like 30 minutes. Literally. But people had to play the game a lot to figure that out. You see what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Is like, even a game like Final Fantasy, people had to figure that out. DMC, like, go watch any video from Dunguri. Go watch how like crazy Devil May Cry 4 is like evolved. You know what I mean? And there's people that just want to lab the game out. But my point is, it's fun because I'm doing something. But people don't look at like labbing as doing something. They look at it as it's a chore. I shouldn't have to train. Why should I have to train? It's like,
cleaning your room.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy, right? It's like, I do job training to do, like, I am a surgeon. Imagine if you were a surgeon and didn't train to be a surgeon. No one would trust your ass. You know what I mean? Hey man, I'm a certified car specialist. I can fix your car. Bro, the car fell on you. You don't even know how to use a damn car jack. Like, come on, son.
I always had this in my mind. I want to find a better, like, visualization to describe what we're talking about, but this is the only one I feel like most people will get. It's like T mode is like tidying your room. Now, you're gonna get some real chads that can get maidens without their room being tidy, but most people need to tidy their room, have a shower to get maidens. Not everyone's a chad.
I'm gonna sit to get the maidens. You gotta tidy the room. Bro, clean up. Come on.
Yeah, if you want to do that chore, so you can, so when the time comes under pressure, you can perform.
Oh my god!
If your room's messy, you're not gonna be able to perform. You're just gonna get washed. You're gonna get smoked. You're gonna get 0-2'd. But I get what you're saying. I feel because other than Shaz to Seihan, from I think even in Marvel to a degree, I can't remember the last time people got hype over defense until Seihan and like, if people don't know, Mr. Popo, but Seihan, when he plays Dragon Ball, people get hyped from his blocking. That's pretty rare that people get hyped over something being someone being passive. And since I saw him, I was like, you know what? There's a glimmer of hope that zoning can be impressive to people. A glimmer of hope. I don't know about grapplers. I think you need a miracle for that. You're gonna need Doctor Strange looking at all those timelines. I don't think you can ever.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Unless you watch Fab, you're not gonna respect grapplers.
Nah,
it's too hard. Even I guess with someone like Itabashi, it's more his personality that people like.
I agree.
Yeah, like, or even Snake Eyes. Do people like Snake Eyes? I think people like Snake Eyes.
I believe so. I mean, I think he's at a point where, like, I mean, he can't really play Geef, but I'm sure he'll play Geef in 6. You know, obviously that's his character, but I don't know. I think he was a big fan favorite, especially in 4.
Yes, yeah.
In particular, I think in 4 in particular, yeah.
It's weird because I love footsies. I think footsies is like the pinnacle of fighting games. That's why I'm so like anti-mix, because I think that's you're taking a skill. Well, it takes away the skill of a player. If I'm playing you, if you're better than me at a game and I put you in a 50-50, it's the same as if I've put like a 2-year-old baby in a 50-50. It's gonna hit half the time. There's no skill to overcome that maths.
That's fair.
Unless, obviously, sorry, when I say 50-50, I mean same frame high-low, not something you can fuzzy guard. Yeah, because with skill, you can fuzzy guard. So I'm talking about a straight 50-50. That, to me, eradicates the skill of your opponent, which, for me, makes me less triumphant when I hit you.
Okay.
Because I could do a YouTube video, show you how to do the 50-50, and your success rate would be as good as mine. Because it's a 50-50, right?
Yeah.
As long as you can execute it. As long as you can execute it, right? So With all the people that I'm saying in terms of like Seihan, I remember like Aqua Silk because he was super hyped because he'd always Siberian Blizzard people, and I'm like, that's super sick. Like those aspects of fighting games, zoning, being defensive, grapplers, they feel like they don't have much of like a fan base. And I think it goes back to what you're saying about rushdown characters. Everyone loves it. Everyone likes seeing someone get smoked. Everyone loves people getting hit by 50-50s because the person doing it is pressing buttons, they're being active. And those things, maybe hot take, I think require less team-moding.
Those kinds of characters require more experience because you can lab the 50-50s, but you just got to play the matchups.
Yes.
And at that point, everyone's human on a 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, what was this? Street Fighter 4 or 5? Cammy got humanized for a bit because of dive kick. But it's like, she puts you in the corner, and it's like, well, c'est la vie. You know what I mean? So
many.
I feel you.
There's so many characters I like that, right? That you watch the interactions, especially in Street Fighter 4, you watch interactions. Someone like Tsukido could be playing a Kuma or someone playing a Buki, and they knock someone down, and the player's name in the top left-hand corner doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, definitely not.
They should just change it to victim, because it doesn't matter how good you are.
You will get mixed.
You could be Gandhi or Daigo. The chance of it hitting, exact same. But you know, it's hard to watch as a spectator. I'm gonna lie.
I mean, I feel you. Like, okay, so I'm like in the middle because like I believe, and I remember there was a big discussion about this back in Xrd, when like Kai and like Sin players were like, oh man, I hate 50-50 characters, so this, that, and it's like, look, man, I'm gonna just keep it a stack since you said it's a raw spot. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this in the raw form.
Let's go.
Fuck you. I've been sitting here dealing with all your big ass normals. You throwing out random beat drivers and getting wall bounce counter hitting at like 90%. And then when I knock you down, this is whack. You throw out a random special move, random 5-frame slide advancing low. Don't get me started on Kai, you know, YRC normals, Faust YRC normals. But when I knock you down, that's a problem. What? Nah, we're not doing that when you control the space. Yes, if you whiff, I can get in there and kill you. I'm not gonna say, well, don't whiff, because it's gonna happen at some point, right?
Yeah.
But you have to like. I like both sides of the spectrum in that regard, because I think there's value in both, you know, offense and defensive playstyles. Me personally, my playstyle is passive aggressive. I like to strike when it's time. You know what I mean? I prefer to not force interactions on people, not because it's not effective, but because that's just not my playstyle. Like I can do it, and I think you should know how, but at least for me in particular, that's not like the ground basis. But most players in the way that they've been constructing the games, I think it's not really the games. I think while the games are catered more to offense, I think it's the players try to force interactions too heavily.
Right.
Is why the games are played that way as opposed to not, which is where I've learned where Strive is actually good, and I like the new direction of the game, but that's a different story. But going back to like zoners, and I'll talk about zoners and then grapplers, right? Zoners, to me, the best way to make zoners is to make them active. I think active zoning is fun. I think when you see Sonic Boom,
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Sonic Boom. Now I'm gonna walk forward. Like, I get how that's boring to people.
Yeah.
I definitely get it, and I think that's where I've seen where like they've tried to make zoners more active. Yeah. Like right now, you know, Testament right now is super active zoner. Axel even more so active because of his new, you know, buffs. You know, Jackal's obviously, she's pretty flexible in that regard too. Like I think even Faust has gotten a lot better too. So it's like, I think that's more exciting for people because you give them an element of like, yeah, it's still zoning, yeah, it's annoying, but it's active. And then they've kind of let those characters have offense where it's not overbearing.
Right.
But she's definitely the exception. And that's even Testament to some degree. But like, you've given them a degree of both, where they can kind of have the best of both worlds, but like still have a good strong emphasis on the zoning aspect. And I think that's neat for Strive in particular. And I think other games have been taking that approach too, to active zoning. Like, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, on your side of the world, y'all got Mr. Crimson in Street Fighter 5. Like, that motherfucker makes Dawson look freaking like I'm looking like a Marvel character when I watch that dude play. So I'm like, all right, hold on a minute.
Yep.
You know, and
I was gonna say real quick, like I guess I should put a disclaimer again on what I said. You know, the process of getting in, I respect. So I will take Fei Long versus Bison. If Fei Long gets in on Bison, I snooze eternally. Odin sleep. Like, it's whatever to me. But if Fei Long gets in on Dao Sim, I'm like, fair play. Yeah. I just want to put that there because when you say rush down, you just think of characters that go forward. I played Leo. That was half of my kit was going forward. If I beat Hayun, I'll be like, where you gonna go? I'm always gonna hit you. But if I catch a Venom, best believe I'm sick nasty. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah, I respect it. Okay, I got you. Yeah, and trust. I think people who probably watch this would be like, he just doesn't like rush down. It's like, nah, it's like there's levels to it.
Yes.
Right. Now I'm gonna piggyback off you with that, and then I'm gonna talk about the grapplers because when you like the art of rushdown isn't just W keying, and this used to actually, you don't know about this, but I could speak on it here.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be like, especially here, be like, oh, you just love rushdown, you know, like that's like your playstyle. I'm like, are you stupid? Do you understand that like I clown you for moving around? Like I move around you to make you make mistakes.
Right.
I have a movement-based playstyle. It's not just rush at people. Like, and I've learned to not play that way since like 2008. When I went to Japan and I tried to play that way at SBO, they were like, "Oh yeah, that's how you feel?" I'm over here getting yoked up. I'm like, you ever seen you ever play Final Fight 1? You know when like Andor grabs you up and you just get yoked up?
Oh yeah. Scruffy your neck. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I was like, I'm rushing y'all down. They're like, yeah, that's cool. You're gonna stay right over there, and I'm gonna punish you. And that was me for a few days. And I was like, I had to change my playstyle on the fly for like a week and some change. I'm like, bro, me rushing at Japanese players in Guilty Gear was like the worst possible thing. They were like, when I would talk to them, they're like, too aggressive. I'm like, okay. All right, I get it. And I had to adjust. And from that point on, I learned passive aggressive because, for what it's worth, that's what I think wins. Like, I think passive aggressive is what truly wins in fighting games. And I think that's what wins in fighting in general. MMA, boxing is all the same, in my opinion. In my opinion. I don't think that just barraging someone, like, I guess the best way to put it in terms of offense, right? Because the art of offense isn't showing all your cards and just balls to the wall rush down. Like everyone feels like, yeah, dude, yeah, man. I'm like, when I watch Leo get played in Strive, I'm like, you know, this character can be so much more. Like, but everyone's just like, DP, red, do a one, let's rock, DP, knock down, cross up, run slash kick, kick overhead, do it again. Like, dude, come on.
You said DP.
You got more than that.
You said DP.
I mean, they will throw a random dude.
Flash kick.
You're right, flash kick. Flash kick. Fair.
You're a teacher.
I get it. But I'm just saying, like, they're going two balls to the wall, and I'm like, you know, the amount of control this character actually has in the game in comparison to how he's played, it's like, I wonder when you guys are actually gonna learn how to really play this character and show how really strong he actually is. But it's like, and I need to get to the grapplers, but when I've played people in like in tower, and I'd like scrape them with Jacko, and then they're like, this happened just this past week. I beat the brakes off this Testament player, and then I got Celestial, and I was playing Jacko, and then they switched to Leo, and they're just like, brain off. I'm like, oh, you one of them, okay. So you get smoked with Testament because you can't play good neutral, so now you're gonna run at me and think like that's gonna change it. So I smoked them even harder, and then you know what they do? They just start YOLOing harder. So I'm like, okay, I get it. So now, because you get caught at every turn, at every choke point that I've built for you, now you're just like, I'm just gonna just, and I'm like, this is why you will not get any better than this. You're gonna stay here, but I'm grateful for you because you're teaching me how to beat this. So thank you.
I was about to say real quick. So when they went into that mode where they just went full on crayons in the air, let's go. Did they get some W's?
They did.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say
yeah.
that they didn't beat me.
I think that's the big part of like the lizard brain goes, it does work, so why not go for it? Yeah.
And so and then you know and I get it, but even I will tell you, and I said it earlier, I'll say it again, and I'll say even on your stream here or your cast here, I'm waiting for you guys to play that character better, because that character is actually way better than y'all are playing him. Now, I've taken my little stray. Now I'm gonna move forward on the grapplers.
Okay.
I think grapplers, there's two outlets of grapplers, and there's one that works really well, and there's one that's harder as hell to play. The one that works really well is the strikers. Strikers to me are the evolution of grapplers, because they're like the in-betweeners. So like Soul could be considered a striker, for example, because he's got a scoop.
Right.
I mean, like Abel.
Yeah.
Laura is more of a striker to me than a pure grappler. Makoto. So basically, the Laura is the Makotos. You know what I mean? So they have like the in-between kit, but it's not. They don't focus on the grapple. It's part of the kit, right? Like they get in, hit hard, and kind of put you under the gun, and it's like, I also have this if you decide to sit still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean,
my headcanon that I just call them brawlers. I know exactly what Arcus I'll be talking about. Yeah.
I got you. I would call them brawlers too. Now, grapplers, they're hard as hell to play because they require you to do one thing that a lot of players, they don't know the name of the concept, and they do it indirectly, and they're kind of bad at it, but they do it, and it's play off the HP. Most people who pick the big bodies, they try to play off the HP, but they do it wrong. Like they get it, but they do it wrong. They're basically, when I say this, you guys, it's essentially, you have to risk reward with them a lot harder. In other words, you got to make the big brain plays, the big brain reads, because you have the HP to play off of. So basically, it turns into cause and effect even more so because you have more HP to play off of. Hence, play off the HP. But in its rawest form, you can just say making big reads.
Right.
But the problem is they try to go bigger, go home. They don't try to take the read to put themselves in a better position. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna, I don't know, Heavenly Potemkin Buster. Maybe you'll get hit, maybe you won't. Is there any precursor to that? Was there any context to that? Did you scout anything? Did you see me do anything? But you just decided, I think, right now, Heavenly Potemkin Buster. Okay,
literally, upon 6p,
right.
They just went, please work. That's it.
Right. And I'm like, okay, what were you looking for? And they're like, man, I'm in the air. I know, I'm okay. I have JD. I'll just do delayed JD. Do you know how good Jacko's 2S is against that? In fact, I have a better idea. Let me jump up and feint an air throw. Oh, by the way, there's a minion underneath you. I'm going to shield your freaking JD, and I get a free Elysian driver. What are you going to do? You want to burst? Okay, that's fine. I guess I still get to run up on you. It matters not. You threw away 50 meter on a no read. It's just the biggest guess. With basically, you made the biggest play without taking in any information. You just threw all your cards out. So now, me as a high level player, or in this case, you call me veteran, right? Me as a veteran, oh, you threw out a Heavenly Pop Buster on random? Okay, this motherfucker crazy.
Yeah.
All right, got it. I get you. You know, so, but those characters, they still have their redeeming qualities because they have great footsies because they're slow.
Yep.
And I think if you kind of learn how to play off the HP, use your footsies a little bit more, make the proper reads based on information taken in, then those characters become scary. But they're not fun to fight against because they're winning off of more, like they get big damage off of a guess. And so there's nothing stable about it. So that's what makes it very frustrating to lose to, because it's like, you kind of just did that. Well, I thought you might have done it, so it worked out. It's like, you can never reason with a grappler player about why they did what they did. Like, sometimes it's based off of a good read. Other times, like, I mean, with my heart, I believed. You know what I mean? I believe with all my heart.
Yeah, no, I know that like whole concept. I learned without playing the grappler. I learned that when I was playing Sagat in Cross Tekken and Street Fighter 4. The whole like using your health as currency. I always, again, this is like my weird way of like visualizing the concept is I'm a real estater and my health is my money. And if I want that plot of land, if I want you to live in that plot of land, I'm gonna have to be your landlord. And this is how much it's gonna cost me to renovate it. It's gonna cost me 30% of my health bar.
Yes.
But with that 30% of my health bar, I'm gonna make sure I get you in that corner. And that's how I felt playing Sagat. And I had fireballs and a DP. So when I was like, how do you players do this, bruv? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, they might have more money, but bro, that plot of land looks way further away. Way further away. So yeah, that whole concept, I do agree with you. I think the difference between grapplers and a grappler does change how you play the game. And I think the latter, the way you explained it, unless you know the mindset behind the grappler player, you can't appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it doesn't, it looks, like you said, right? When a grappler player does it with their heart or when they do it with their brain, to someone who doesn't understand that, it's all the same. Yeah.
Totally. And, you know, and that's the thing about me too. Like, I may not play Pot, but I sympathize what Pot has to go through. Like I can see it, you know, and that character's not easy to play. I mean, even I've played him a little bit here and there in Strive just to kind of dick around. But when you understand that, like, you don't got no movement options, your movement options has armor attached to it, you can get jabbed out and get thrown. Like, I feel for those Pot players sometimes. And then when they win big, I'm like, you know what? I take it back. Like, I don't feel bad for you, like, at all. In fact, I hate that you exist. You know what I mean? It is what it is, though. It is what it is. But I mean, it's just it's really just that style of play. And I think a lot of the new fighting games are trying to, like, kind of find that good middle ground for the spectators to appreciate all the styles of play. Yes. Honestly. So.
Yeah, I hope they do it because, like I keep preaching, if I've got one agenda, it's just like bring zoning back, good active zoning. Like you said, I want Hawkeye zoning, Like,
ooh, okay.
The guile thing you said earlier, I understand why people don't like that. I liked watching Dominion kill people with his back to the wall. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, big fact. Me too. Yo, that's a skill because yo, Kevin Landon, when his back is to the wall, he's the strongest.
Yes,
you can't
exactly.
You can't beat that man. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep it real as hell. When that dude had his back to the wall, nobody was beating him.
Bro,
nobody was beating him. I'm sorry.
He put himself in the worst position and turned it into a power up. I don't know how he does it consistently, but like we've been saying, if you don't understand, it's boring because it is Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Oh, you jumped, flash kick. So back kick, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom. Yeah.
Do it again. Yep. Exactly.
I want them, maybe not to that degree, because we have to think about spectators. Like, if moving forward with the fighting games, we have to think about spectators. Spectators aren't going to want to watch that all the time, right? Unless it's coming from a heel. But, you know, I think we're losing a lot of that kind of mentality with players being the heel or the villain. But that's another podcast. I want zoning to come back in the form of like Hawkeye, where it's basically passive rushdown because you're running the script. So you can tell the difference between a good active zoner and a bad active zoner. A bad one will literally do the script and get hit in the same position because they're doing the same sequence.
Yes.
That's what I like Hawkeye. Because if I do the same sequence and I get hit, I think, okay, noted. Like, that's the notepad moment. Let me change it up. That's interesting to me because I feel I'm interacting with my opponent. Where if I've got someone like, I'm going to say Dormammu kind of zoning in like MVCR or MVC3, it's so oppressive, you can't really fuck up. That's the zone that I don't like. When there is no bad option. Johnny, zoning Johnny. That's what I don't want. Because Johnny's, most times when someone beat a Johnny, it was because the Johnny did the wrong thing. Not because, you know. I don't want zoning to be like that. And I think someone like Morgan, you could argue, can't mess up. If they soul illusion, they can't really do anything wrong.
Technically speaking, yeah.
As long as they got the execution.
I mean, it's like, I was like, that's the only weakness is the execution. Yes. But other than that, like Morgan, Sophist, like, well, good luck. You know, it's just so oppressive. I agree.
But on the other hand, the hype bit is when he lost. When Chris G lost with Morgan, everyone lost their minds, right?
True.
Which is sad because, like I said, like we've just established, the execution to do that day in, day out and not get carpal tunnel is insanity.
That's hard. It's hard. It's definitely hard.
But I would just like both sides to get recognition. And I think when that happens, people would like to learn that sort of stuff. I think that stuff will be teachable. If people saw Fabs do like IB Potbuster, and then you comprehend how hard that is to do, they might want to learn it.
You know, and I think this is something that I've learned to appreciate about Strive more so now than ever. The simplicity of Guilty Gear has made it a lot more palatable to people. And
Yes.
again, this patch has proven, like, I guess the best way to put it is, and I have no shame saying this, or like, when I mean, maybe shame not the word for it. I have no problem saying this. It's more like it's turning into Guilty Gear finally. I think it's finally turning into Guilty Gear. Like, it took a minute, and I think it's because of the direction in season 1 was rough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now they've got structure. I think it took them a while, but I think they have structure now.
Okay.
And this, I don't know. I keep saying it, and it's not because I think Jacko's amazing or anything like that in this patch. It has nothing to do with it. It's just how the game is working now. Mochi winning World Tour proved a gigantic point, because literally C4, all the top 5 characters were on the bottom of the top 8.
Yep. And it was the legacy, like, live and breathe Soul from day one player. When all it, actually, you know what? The rest of the world, I won't even target a name. When the rest of the world were like, Soul is unviable. Happy Chaos 3 gonna win this. Ram 3 best character. We don't need to learn the matchup for Soul. You know why? Because Soul's sleep. He's trash. He can't do anything. You just keep him away with guns and swords.
And then Mochi's like, let me show you how to use the system mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I feel like it just proved character loyalty is a thing still. I think, man, like, it's you couldn't hear me really say it too much at Evo when we talked, because I was still kind of figure out what this game really is. And I think with the introduction of Bridget and Shin, like, it made more sense to me, even more so now.
Okay.
Like, they're really pushing Guilty Gear's back. It's gonna take another patch. I really feel like now it's where it needs to be.
I've always thought the essence was there. They just put in the wrong shell. I think, especially with the DLC, like, I will always, like, sing praises, regardless if I play those characters or not. Gold Lewis, genius design. Genius. What a concept in 2022 to come out with that I don't even think has been done before, the way his BT works. Testament, like, insane. Like, every DLC character has their, not only their unique, like, quirk or whatever, they have their own win conditions. Every single one of them. That's hard to do in a game that we've all been saying is quite restrictive. That's way harder to do in a more open game. So yeah, I think I agree with you for sure. And I think we're both saying it's the foundation that it's on is still Guilty Gear. It's the stuff they've put on top, where they're making it more accessible, the screen sizes, the restriction on RCs. That's what's made it not look like a Guilty Gear game, but the balancing is kind of aiming in that direction.
Yes. It took a while, and I'm definitely happy to say it. You know, like, now I have no problem playing it. It's just Chip is just not it for me. I will never say he's bad, but I realize now, like, it's just time to evolve past him, at least for me.
It's not just the players that evolve. Some characters do as well, and what they used to do in older games changes.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of the play styles are actually favored, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Strive actually has active zoning, and I just think people are just afraid. I think what it boils down to, and I won't even use Strive, just say fighting games right now in general. Like, a lot of people look at zoning as lame. Yep. And they're like, well, I don't want to do that because it's not fun. But then you have people who want to do it, but they get hit with the social construct of, nah, zoning is whack, dude. You want to rush down. And it's like, people are playing characters that don't fit them.
Yeah. Bro, I 100% agree. If I never played Xrd and I didn't have this attachment to Leo, I would definitely be playing Testament or Bridget. 100%.
Oh yeah.
They have that element of active zoning. They remind me of Hawkeye. 100%. But I turn on the game, I lab them, and I feel out of place because I'm not picking Leo. That's the issue.
Man, I mean, it's up to you, obviously, but I mean, if you were to step back, I would say just do it, or you do the other half, is what I've been saying. that character can be played differently. Leo can be played I feel like Tomo's playstyle still exists in that game. People just don't want to do it.
Is it worth it though? Because that's what I said to all the other Leos. Like, even when like Jonathan was like learning, I'm like, Jonathan, me and him have like similar minds when we look at our character. I'll be like, you could learn the stuff you should do, or you could learn the stuff that will make you win. I can only help you when you go left. Like, if you want to counter poke Ram's far S with 5k, and you want to go for a safe jump after flash kick instead of back turn, talk to me. If you want to win, go do that back turn stuff. But I can't help you at that point. Because it doesn't interest me. The only thing I labbed was the OS. And even that, me labbing that was just like, again, I'm taken away from the element. I want to read your shit. I want to bait your burst with counter. Can't do it in this game. If I do an OS, I didn't bait you. I just run a script. And I'm not playing for money. So why am I doing that? I want to play for your soul. I want you to feel bad. I want you to understand that I am living rent-free in your mind and I know exactly what you can do at every moment. That's when I want to press counter, not because it covers two options. So, but Testament, I like the speed and the space control she has. That
definitely,
that feels so good to have. It might happen because at the moment I'm literally playing like MVCI and multiverses. It's pretty hard to get games of both of those games. So yeah, yeah. I'm playing more Marvel Snap than fighting games. I'm telling you that much. Like,
Discord fighters. Well, not so much multiverses, but like I know multiverses right now is hurting from what I gather. So that really sucks. I think
it's sad. I never thought I would see such an IP tank like this. It makes me so mad. Like, you've literally got LeBron James versus Taz. Like, how do you scuff that up? How do you mess that up? Ariel Stark versus Velma. How do you fuck that up?
I mean, you know, dare I say, and I'll be that guy. I try not to say it in videos, but I can say it now. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They came out swinging and was like, we're going to change the game, and ended up in the same position as everyone else. So to me, it was pretty ironic. Like, I was like, okay, I see. Bro, I played that game hard body for like, I think one of the early betas, I played a super hard body, and I was like, mm-mm. And then as it moves forward, it came out, I was like, I'll give it a try again, and I was like, nah, like, and when I saw this in particular, I was like, this definitely proves my point. Dude came out here, was like, oh, what was his name, Tony?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
This is still beta. All your faults. You want to tell me this is beta? People are playing for this battle pass. You gonna sit there and tell me this is still beta? You took my money and told me this is still beta? Now don't get me wrong. There's a lot of betas that are like that. You know, you spend money or whatever. But I'm just like, bruh, you need to come with it. Like, y'all need to come with it.
The beta thing is definitely holding the game back because everything else about it is good. Free to play. Even you can T-mode DLC, so you don't have to buy the DLC. Perks, I think, are probably like the easiest. No, actually, no, the best way to balance a game, because we've all had this conversation. When you balance everyone too much, you're just mirror matches, right? But perks allow you to counter pick without counter picking with a character.
Right. I like that too. I agree.
The 2v2 aspect is, I think, the best way to get fighting games known as esports. Like a team game. It's a team game. Yeah, they've got the 1v1, but the 2v2, they've balanced characters around 2v2.
Around that. Yeah.
How are you fucking this up? You're Warner Brothers, for fuck's sake. You pay people out Evo on frame 2. Yeah. How are you not doing this properly? It has to be the beta. I might be on Copium. Just drop the fucking beta title, and your game will do good. I promise you.
Nah, man, you're gonna see, bro. It's wild to me that we're on the cusp of another Evo and Multiverses is still in beta. That's just crazy to me. It's still in beta. Beta, really? Nah, dude.
Stop playing with me, man. Don't. I never. Oh, bro. Yeah, nah. That game has done something to me mentally. Like, I think it's got the elements of like cross-taking with the perks of 2v2, and the IP insane. And I never knew, so I don't really play platformers that much. I played like a bit of Ethereal and Brawlhalla, touched them a little bit. I never knew how much I like games without block. The fact that game doesn't have a block and you're constantly moving feels so good.
Ooh, we are from different schools on that one.
I like to avoid. I'm Hawkeye. If I block with Hawkeye, I lose. I need to avoid.
Okay, I like the movement of multiverses. To me is great, but the fact that I'm about to run into some shit, give me Smash Ultimate, please.
Everyone says that Smash movement's better. I never play Smash, so I've not got a comparison. Maybe it is. For me,
I think movement's fine on both games. Just give me a damn block button, like.
Bro,
I'd rather block.
You're a chip player. You would love moving. I thought you would have loved that shit.
I love it, but I'm like, there are those moments where like I'm fighting a random Iron Giant, and they're just like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna do this super active ass move, and maybe you'll run into it with your Arya, maybe you won't, and if you don't, that's okay. I'll take the punishment, but if you do. Space Cowboy. Like, come on. I mean, and then the only thing is, well, you could have hit dodge, but I didn't commit to. Well, you committed to dying, so.
Yeah. If you would like it now with Stripe, they've given Stripe basically Happy Chaos.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
He shows me all the stuff in that game, and I'm like, why they put Happy Chaos on the game?
That's the first character I picked, man.
I don't blame you. It looks pretty cheap. It's insane.
Yeah, I was like, Happy Chaos with no block. How did this pass Q&A? Sure, we'll run it. It's pretty funny.
How do we get Guilty Gear players to play this game?
Yeah.
Let's put in the character that no one likes to play and fight against into the game.
Yeah, it doesn't even need curse. It's pretty good. Just it doesn't even need curse. That shit don't miss. You better just know when I pull the trigger, you better hope you press dodge at the same time. Other than that, good luck. Job bless.
Y'all see this shit that C4 put me through? It's crazy.
It's okay.
Good luck. Good luck.
I talk about it. Who am I playing though?
You're right.
Who am I playing? It's very hard to get like a casual partner. So it makes sense. Like, unless I played it like hard bodied, I understand why no one would want to team up with me on a regular basis. It makes sense. So until they drop the beta and I'm trying to get Warner Brother money, there's no point in me like committing hard into the game. So
and that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it'd be like that. So yeah, I might have to come back to Guilty Gear just so I can press buttons. But yeah, I definitely won't I would lab Leo, but I probably wouldn't play Leo in matches. It's too hard to do what we both agree with. Like, Leo can play it in a different way. It's just not worth it. It's not worth my sanity. But yeah, I think we definitely covered more than I wanted to, which is totally sick. I didn't want to eat up into too much of your time. Let's wrap it up. Where can people find you, Kensou? Obviously, I'll put the description in there, but yeah, tell people where they can find you and what you're about.
You can definitely find me on YouTube's Shin Kensou. Pretty much everything Shin Kensou. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, which I'm trying to do more of, will be just Kensou. Because someone took Shin for someone dragged my name. I don't know how. but that aside, yeah, you can just find me in all those places, man. I'm there, especially on Twitch and YouTube. I'm there all the time. You're gonna see me post mad videos. I'm getting back on my horse for YouTube after some things have been changing. But Twitch, you'll definitely see me a lot. So yeah, catch me out there.
Cool. I'm sure eventually we'll have another topic that we will have to talk about, because there wasn't much conflict in us two. Pretty much agreed. But we're talking about the community, so I think we're always going to agree on that. We see the same thing. The picture's framed in the same way for both of us. So yeah, I think talking to you is always informative. Hopefully everyone else finds that when they listen to you. So yeah, check out his content if you like Guilty Gear, and not just fighting games, like we said, speedrunning, Apex, all of that. You can find that over at Kensou's channel, and the thumbnails, gourmet thumbnails.
It's
the pretty slick. Can't lie.
I do what I can.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that after they see the thumbnail for this video, but we can't all be.
If you need me to make it,
let me. I'll see how much money I've got in my pocket first. Let me dig in there. because that good shit ain't free, man. That good shit ain't free. I know that, but yeah, we'll see. But again, thanks to Kensou for jumping on. Busy guy, and yeah, catch you guys in another episodes at some point in the future, I guess. All right, peace.